Hey, how's it going, Scott?
Going well. How are you?
Doing good. I'm doing a weird thing. I got sound down on my phone, and then I got to talk through the microphone. I don't know why my headphones aren't working today, but I haven't used the computer much the last couple weeks. I've been gone, so
Probably some update or something that needs to happen.
I did some updates this morning. So I don't
Okay.
know.
Yeah, those updates like messing us up.
I know. Every time it's all this crazy stuff. So I don't know. So how you
So,
been, Scott?
oh well, a lot has happened since we were last on the air together.
Well,
Well,
yeah.
yeah,
um, yeah, our last official show together was about a month ago.
yeah. You did
August
the show
just due.
last week.
Yeah. I did a solo show, just updating everyone. For those who don't know, I had a heart attack and died, but I've resurrected and I'm back better than ever. So
Yeah.
that's the short story.
Well, it happens.
It happens. Yeah, it happens. But Jesus did it for 3 days. I only did it for 10 minutes. So I didn't pull
Well,
off the
that's
3 days dead yet. but but I'm doing well. Recovery's going well. Everything's on track. Saw my cardiologist yesterday. There's no issues with my heart. It's not enlarged. There's no artery damage. Everything seems very good. Long story short, there's different types of plaque that you have in your system.
yeah.
Stable and unstable. Stable plaque kind of stays stationary, but it can clog up and become a blockage. For mine, they believe it was unstable plaque where just a piece broke off from somewhere and went through the vein and blocked somewhere and triggered that. So my heart
Okay.
is doing well. All the tests say I'm doing well. I just got to do follow-ups and take care of myself. But statistically speaking, I don't have any of the conditions that would believe that I would have another one.
Okay. Good.
Yeah, so doing well.
Oh, good. Well, hey, why don't we start off with some ad reads? Get that out of the way. I'm gonna let you go ahead and get started, Scott.
All right. So, Team Titans of Real Estate. Why? Because you matter. That's right. Even though we utilize the latest in tools and technology to maximize your home buying and selling experience, we never forget at its core, it's a people business, and we take that seriously. And I'm going to put our let me put our address on here, our phone number. All right. I meant to type this out earlier. Here we go. So in there, I'm putting our team hotline, 586-232-5144. But as far as this year goes, summer is unofficially over. We still have a little bit left of the official summer. But, yeah, with the holidays, that kind of marks the ending of the summer period. And a lot of times people think real estate goes away, but it doesn't. August, you tend to see a little dip in activity because everybody's focusing on back to school and try and get those final vacations in. But now that we're into the fall, we typically see an increase in the number of listings out there. So if you've been looking for a house and you've been feeling frustrated, this might be a great time to reignite your searches. So give us a call, 586-232-5144. And if you're looking to sell your house, like we said, the surge comes back here typically in September. So it'd be a great time. But as far as our team goes, we've been having a record year for Team Titans. And 100% of our business this year has been from either past clients returning to us or referrals from past clients, friends, family, people who've used us. And you only can survive off of your referrals and past clients if you're doing a good job. And we really do. We take it seriously that we treat you like family. We put our relationship with you as our number one priority to really do the best work we can for you. So Team Titans Real Estate, check us out. TeamTitansRealEstate.com is our website. But and if you're not in the Macomb, Oakland, St. Clair County areas, but you need a referral, we have a great relocation department where we can help you find a realtor in the area that specializes in the type of home you're looking for. So give us a call for those as well. So that's it for that. Are you there,
Here.
Brett? There you go.
So I'm trying not to get too much echo, but you'll probably hear me in the background too.
That's okay. Want me to pull up Loringer's website?
Yeah, I got it right here.
Okay.
So, gotta move this thing around so I can figure out where it's not gonna.
We get the whoop, 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 whoop. Little feedback.
Yep. Okay. All right. There they are. Larger Family Chiropractic Center PC, located in Belleville, Michigan and Dexter, Michigan. They're doing a lot of changes. I actually went to the Belleville location yesterday. Won't be going today, and they are really starting to work on integrating all the new stuff they're going to be doing. So don't really want to get too much on that stuff because I don't know anything about it. But eventually, once they're ready, we'll have to try to get Dr. Corinne on at some point to talk about it.
Yeah, that'd be great.
But they're still doing a lot of chiropractic stuff. They'll be doing some rehab stuff. They're incorporating a actual medical nurse because it ties in some of the new stuff that Michigan can do now with chiropractic care. So definitely, if you got some issues going on, wellness, healthy, things like that, check out Loringer Family Chiropractic Center PC on Facebook here. Give them a call, 734-697-4244.
Yeah, even if you don't have like back pain, there are small things that add up over time. And as we get older, these small little things accumulate and add up. And when you first go, like for me, my pelvic bone was slightly out of alignment.
Mhm.
And when I would run or walk, I would have like it would look like a limp. Sometimes people would say, "Oh, did you hurt your leg?" And it was just that my pelvic bone was slightly out of alignment. And in going to the chiropractor and them adjusting it, even my stride, I can feel a difference when I walk and when I run. So those minor adjustments, it's better to get them done earlier than just allowing it to accumulate and get worse and worse over time. And then it's harder to fix. But in adjusting too, when your spine is out of alignment like that, just a little bit, you might not feel pain, but that little bit of out of alignment could be pinching a nerve, which is blocking the signals from your brain travels down the spine and through the nerves, and it's giving orders to the rest of your body. And keeping it in alignment helps those nerves do their job. Only 10% of a nerve's function is pain receptors. The other 90% is telling your body, what to do, keeps your blood pressure going and your pulse and all these different things. So can't recommend Loringers enough. Give them a call. It'll be good in the long run.
Oh, definitely. So we dealt with your heart attack last week. So
yeah,
we're good there.
Yep, we're good there. All is good. Feeling great. Recovery's going well.
Yep.
So
now I wasn't on last week because I was still in Colorado. I was actually getting ready to fly out during the time of the show.
Yeah, you were traveling all day last Wednesday.
Yeah, it was a drive to Denver from Colorado Springs, and then we flew home. So it was kind of a long travel day.
So how was the Colorado Springs Comic-Con?
The Comic-Con was great. Love that show. They have a lot of great fans that come out there that are all excited about the show. Happy to be there. It's one of those shows where it's a typical Comic-Con, but they have it in 3 sections. We're in the upper bowl usually now, and then they have a main floor section, and then they have the ice house. We did the ice house the first year, and the nice thing about that is you're actually on the ice, so it's a little cooler out there, and you have a chance.
Kevin could keep his beer
cold.
Your
beer down. Hold on a second. That's my sound. Sorry, I'm having sound issues again.
That's okay.
Bring it back up. Cheer. There nice about that is you're actually on the ice. So that's a delay. Out there and you have Kevin could keep his beer.
That's a real delay.
Yep. Sometimes technology just sucks.
I'll just do sign language.
There I am.
Yeah. So you can also my feeling.
All right.
There you go. And then we get the echo.
Try this again. Okay.
There we go. So one of the benefits of the ice floor was that Kevin could keep his beer cold.
Oh, and mine too. I took beer in there.
Yeah.
The nice thing is they have Storybrooke Brewery there, which is a local brewery, and they do some really good brews. But the problem is they have to crack the top for you when you're in the facility, so you can't have it just ready to go. You got to drink it then. But we brought some beer in the first year because we were transferring to Denver that night, and we didn't want it to go to waste.
Right.
So
good turnout at the event. Was this your 4th time at that show?
Third year.
Third year.
Unfortunately, we probably won't be back next year, only for the fact that it falls on the same weekend as Tampa.
Yeah.
And we're going to try to go back to Tampa next year.
Tampa's a great show too. I hate when you have two shows you love to do and they end up on the same weekend.
Right. And that happens a lot, unfortunately, anymore.
Yeah, it used to be rare. Now it's all the time, unfortunately.
Problem is, there's so many good shows that we like, but they all want to be the same weekend. It's like, no, space it out. I'll give you my schedule, what I want.
Yeah, do it on our schedule.
Yeah. So we'll just do that. But yeah, it was a good show, and we stayed for a few days extra. We did a trip up Pikes Peak.
Nice.
That was a very physically challenging trip for me because of growing up with asthma, the higher elevation. I felt it more once we got off the train on top of Pikes Peak. But the ride up and down was fine.
Yeah.
So,
the elevation is no joke. Even when I was in my peak running, when we would do Denver and I'd do my runs for the marathon, 1 mile in Denver would feel like 6 miles here. Like I would be that winded because of the elevation. So the elevation is a real thing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So, well, that's awesome. I'm glad you guys had a good time. You guys always have a good time out there. We got Tampa next year, so that'll be good.
Yep. Looking forward to that.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah. I'm still trying to get this sound to work so I can have this stupid thing.
That's okay.
I guess I'm just going to stick with it though.
Well, I'll give a quick update regarding for Bardstone, Crimson Shadows. I just finished the flats, where the next issue to come out will be a trade, which has, I think, 26 bonus pages of story content added to it. I just finished all the flats, so now I just got to go in and add my shading and highlight. So I'm almost done there. My goal is to launch the Kickstarter in October for the trade. So keep an eye out. We'll be working on that. I'm moving along really nicely though, and looking forward to being able to have the next product for Crimson Shadows to be coming out.
Yeah. We had a lot of good fans return from last year to this year that came to get issue 4. In fact, I'll be talking to Scott at some point after I do inventory to see what I need to replace for Salt Lake City.
Nice.
And definitely people are interested in trade. I think the trade's going to be one of our biggest hits for a while, especially with Crimson Shadows being our flagship title. So
yeah, and then after that, I've got a second trade I'm going to be working on to really flesh out the Jack the Ripper arc in this part of the story. So I'm really excited for that.
All right. Very cool. So Colorado was a great time. We had a lot of fun, and the show was very successful. And definitely still tired from it because as soon as I got home, I worked a full day, and then I worked a part day and drove to Chicago with Kevin, and we went and saw Rob Zombie, Alice Cooper, Ministry, and Filter last Friday night.
Awesome.
So really good show. Enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun. I had not seen any of them live. Alice Cooper is my favorite overall. And he put on like the best show. He did all his favorite bits.
Did he have makeup on?
Huh?
Did he have makeup on?
Of course.
Well, did you hear the big controversy? The makeup brand that sponsored him dropped him.
Oh,
because he made some conservative statements, so they dropped him.
I don't care.
So just wondering if he was able to wear makeup.
Other makeup he could use, just not.
No, I know. I don't know if he ever got picked up by another brand or he's just doing his own thing. But yeah, that was a story a week or two ago. That they were mad at him for some statements he made.
No. Well,
Alice Cooper is
so he's gonna make some statements.
Yeah, he's conservative and he'll speak his mind.
Oh yeah.
The funniest thing I remember, where does he live at? Is it Arizona?
Yeah, he's in Phoenix area.
When I remember a long time ago when I first went down there, and on the TV there's all these. He owns a bunch of car dealerships down there, and the car dealership ads is you see Alice Cooper on the golf course talking about selling cars. And I was like, what? I didn't realize he owned a bunch of car dealerships down there. So he's like wearing golf clothes and hitting a ball and talking about cars. I'm like, what happened to the Alice Cooper I knew?
Yeah. Here's what you're talking about with the cosmetic thing. It wasn't anything he was wearing. It was a partnership he was working on.
Oh,
it was
okay.
Vampire Cosmetics. They decided they don't like what he had to say. So they have dropped it. So,
broken paths with him.
Yep. So
yeah.
Oh well. Put on a great show. Loved it.
Yeah, he's been around a long time. He would do signings a lot at the Arizona Comic-Con, so that's where I would see him. He's a very petite man.
Oh, he's tiny.
Yeah, it's like I was surprised. I knew he wasn't a big guy, but when I saw him in person and stood near him, I was like, whoa. Felt like I wanted to pick him up and oh, you're so cute.
Yeah, he does Comic-Cons. He's popped in a few different ones over the years, different places. He was here at Motor City, but I believe that was last fall when I wasn't there.
Yeah, he's got a lot of iconic songs. Of course, you hear "School's Out for Summer" every June. That's everywhere, and I love. He did "No More Mr. Nice Guy," right? For the one, or no, was that him? Or was that?
Yeah, he did "No More Mr. Nice Guy."
That was him. Okay.
Yeah, my first time I remember seeing Alice Cooper with anything was on the Muppets back in the 70s.
Isn't that funny? Like, who would have imagined that pairing?
Yeah. But he was dressed up as the devil, and I think he did "School's Out," if I remember right.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah. So, but I enjoy. He did a great show. I would highly recommend I'd see him by himself anytime if I saw him come around again, because it's just full theatrics. He really gets in with the audience and just has a great time.
Yep, for sure. I didn't get to go. I was thinking about it, but my daughter Ashley got to go to the Pentatonics concert that happened over at Pine Knob. Or is it DTE?
Yeah, they're following
I don't know what it is, but
yeah, they're following the Freaks on Parade tour. So it's like the Freaks on Parade was in Chicago on Friday. The next day was Pentatonics, and I think Pentatonics was here the day after, or no, the day before Freaks on Parade. So it's like they're mirroring each other similar.
Maybe they're sharing the transportation costs.
Probably not.
But
Pentatonics is all vocals,
right? But they are. Ashley absolutely loved it. She said they sounded amazing in person, and she had a really good time.
I like them. They're pretty good. I enjoy that kind of music. Just the acoustic or not acoustic, acapella, and that. But they're good. I've seen them on TV quite a bit over the years. Heard some of their stuff. They do a good job. Them and Straight No Chasers is another one I've actually seen live.
Nice.
So
cool. So over the weekend, I did get to see Equalizer 3 with Denzel Washington.
How was that?
So I'll give a quick little review. I'm not going to get too deep. I'm not going to give spoilers. So if you want to see it, don't worry. But I really liked it. I enjoy the Equalizer series more than the John Wick series personally. Denzel just does such an awesome job. They kind of have a reunion between him and Dakota Fanning. She's in this movie. She's not part of the Equalizer series before. She was in Man on Fire, I think it was called, right, where he rescues a young Dakota Fanning who was kidnapped by some drug cartel or something like that. I can't remember the exact specifics, but so she's not playing that character. That's a different franchise, but she's back as an adult, just playing a different character altogether. But it was nice seeing them act together. They do a good job together. What I really liked about this is one of the big dangers you have, especially when you have a really kick butt character, is as a franchise goes on, the risk you have is making them too powerful, where it's to the point where as a viewer, you lose that. You have to have that tension between the audience and the story of, are we going to lose this main character? Is he in danger? And once you make a character too powerful, you lose that connection, it kind of becomes boring. And I think that's the problem with the John Wick series, is they made him too powerful. Or, I mean, he falls from a 60-story building lands on a concrete road and gets
Mhm.
up. Like, okay, this is just ridiculous now. The Equalizer, I think what they do brilliantly is at the beginning of the movie, there's a great opening sequence, and our hero Denzel is injured very badly, and so you have this. He has to go through recovery and stuff. So when he's facing the bad guys in this, he's very vulnerable. So they regain that tension between the viewer and the story. So I think they did a great job with that, because it'd been very easy just to keep him powerful all the time, and then you're just like, oh yeah, he can beat up 20 guys, and and there's no threat. So I highly recommend it. I think you'll like it. If you like the other Equalizer movies, I think you'll like this one. Um, I think this is going to be the last one for Denzel, for the Equalizer series. I think this is the finale, but worth seeing. If you like the other ones, go check it out.
I saw the first one for sure. The second one, I can't remember if I've seen that, but I know I like the first one.
Yeah.
And
Well,
then
Denzel,
you mentioned like Chloe Grace Moretz and all that.
yeah, he does
Right.
such a good job in these type of movies. Denzel's just a great actor.
Yeah.
I love seeing him on the screen every time. So, who knows what's next for him down the road, but it was great seeing him doing
Well,
this. Type
it's
of
one
role.
of the things where he's kind of slowing down a little bit. So he's doing like kind of like Stallone and even Cruise and all these guys are starting to revisit these roles, and they're kind of hitting their last hurrahs. I mean, Denzel's 68 years old.
Yeah, and he does. What's really nice about this movie too is it's not. It comes across as more realistic. He's not doing these highly choreographed fights. His character employs a lot of psychology to his fights and how he takes out the bad guy, so that each one he takes out, it adds to the fear to the others. Like, they don't know where he's coming from. He's very efficient in his moves and gets straight to the point instead of wasting energy. Especially as you get older, your stamina is not going to be like it was when you were younger. So I love the fight sequences. One thing I don't understand: this is a rated R movie. It's brutal, the fights. People had like 6-year-olds with them to watch this. Like, why? This is not a movie for 6-year-olds. Stop. Like, people are getting stabbed in the throat and in the eyes, and like, don't bring a 6-year-old. Use your judgment, people.
Well, here's the thing though, nowadays is people don't care. They just want to bring their kids to everything. That's why we see kids at Deadpool.
Right.
We see kids coming to all these hardcore movies anymore because the parents are like, well, I let them watch whatever at home, so who cares? And I even
Yeah.
hear that at Comic Cons where parents are like, well, my kids watch Deadpool. He's 5.
Yeah. And like, they're proud of it. It's like, I don't
Yeah.
know. Guess do what you want. I don't know.
Yeah.
But anyways, Equalizer, if you like the Denzel, my favorite Denzel movie, I think, is Book of Eli. Really love that one. But all
The Book
other,
Eli was just a solid movie all the way around. It was a great post-apocalyptic movie. It
great
tied in with a
twist.
great message. It was neat
And the
to see.
twist is so surprising.
Yeah, the nuances with the character. It's like one of those things like how blind was he? Versus I don't. It's always said, well, he was blind, so I blinded. I don't think he truly was. I think it was more of being able to read the braille and nobody else could, allowed him to memorize the Bible. That allowed him to get to the point where he needed to be able to have it put back in print.
Yeah, it was really cool. That movie. Just, I remember watching it and like halfway through realizing, like, whoa, wait a minute, this is so cool. So
Yeah, and he had great
Fallen.
moves with his fighting stances and stuff like that. And that was really cool. So yeah, Fallen's a good one too.
Yep. I don't think there is a bad one. What's the police one? Training Day?
Training Day. That was good.
Yeah.
I mean, he plays a good detective, whether he's playing as a good guy detective or a bad guy detective.
Yeah, he was more of a bad guy in Training Day.
Yeah.
Which, that one was really good. I don't think there's a bad Denzel movie out there.
Probably in his early career, I would say there might be something in there.
Yeah.
Because he's been around for a long time on this stuff. But if you go back the last 30 years, really going back to the Civil War movie he did back in the late 80s with God, who was in that?
Glory?
Glory, yes.
Matthew Broderick?
Yeah, that one really set him apart from some of the other stuff he had been
Yeah,
doing.
that's a good point. Yeah, Glory was that was an amazing movie.
Yeah, and you go back early though, he did a movie called Carbon Copy in 1981 that probably doesn't hold up to this day.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, he's Denzel's one of the greatest actors I think America's ever had. He's just solid all the way around, and I enjoy all his movies.
Yeah.
So, something I've been watching though, and I actually finished it up yesterday. I didn't plan on it; it's just kind of the way it went. Is One Piece on Netflix. Uh, it's based on they say it's based on the manga, which is the comics in Japan, but they do have an anime which has well over 1,000 episodes now. So this is 8 episodes live action as a first season. I really enjoyed it because I've never really watched the animated much.
So for the world that they're creating for this, does it feel like a real world, or are they making it kind of a cartoony feel?
It's a real world in terms of some of the feels. There's definitely the cartoony aspect. I mean, the main character there, Luffy, eats a devil fruit when he's a kid. Well, then becomes like rubber, so he can stretch and things like that. And you find out different people have different things they may pick up either by eating a devil fruit or just naturally. There's fish people. They're kind of they're humans, but they have different fish aspects. So it's its own world. So it's not like here on Earth and then something happened. It's its own world, its own universe,
Okay.
and it's all the entire world is almost like a pirate world.
Yeah.
So a lot of fun. It was I liked it. I liked the translation on it in terms of how they told the story, how they're building these characters up, and like I said, without watching the anime before or reading the mangas, I'm really getting into the characters and liking what they're doing. It's definitely a little sensationalized, but it should be. It's designed to be that way.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah, and that of course goes back to the cartoon started back in '99. So I have no idea if they've ever found the One Piece, which is was a pirate king that got executed. And he said, find my treasure, you'll be the king, and they call it the One Piece.
Okay.
So, but I like it. It's fun. Good actors. They bring a lot to it. I felt like they're treating it very serious with even having the humor built into it.
Was this filmed in English or is it dubbed over?
It's filmed in English.
Okay.
Yeah, it was designed to be a English Netflix series.
Nice.
So I'm hoping there's more seasons because it was good. But of course, with the stupid strike going on still, we never know if we're going to get anything anymore.
Well, anymore too. The reports are just everywhere of how many things seem to be getting canceled or backburnered. Not just because of the strike, but a lot of these streaming companies are getting hit hard financially. Mm-hmm. Disney's been losing a fortune. That Rachel Zegler is not helping with the Snow White coming out. They're getting skewered. Their stock prices.
And the thing with the Disney Snow White one though is you've got the little people that are actors are complaining that none of them were used.
Yeah, it's too offensive to use little people now for little people roles.
Which
so
is
they
ridiculous.
got rid of those roles. Part of that was Peter Dinklage speaking out, which I'm sorry, but that was a douchebag thing for him to do. Just because he's been able to find a niche for himself where he can dictate his roles a little better, he ruined it for people who aren't in his position, and made it harder for them, which sucks. But
yeah, he kind of runs his mouth a little bit.
Well, yeah, and a lot of the people in the little people community, I don't know what the proper terminology is, but they were mad at him. They're like, oh, so we're not allowed to work on these roles just because you figured out how to, find your own path.
Well, and that's the whole thing. It is he has made his own path, but at the same time, when you have a movie called Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, then it should be played by dwarves. It's not about making fun of little people or anything else. It's just like Willow. Willow used little people for.
Well, and it has to do with the original story. Snow
Right.
White. Her name was Snow White because her skin was as white as snow.
Yeah.
That's the reference. She's not supposed to be whatever Rachel Zegler is. But her comments, I'm curious to see, is this going to spill over into the Hunger Games prequel because she's also in that. And a lot of people are mad at her. So we might see these studios have to start telling these actors to shut up, because they're the face of the movies. And if they're going to make offensive comments, people are going to. There's too much entertainment out there now. I can choose to skip movies because I got plenty of other options. So these actors got to be held accountable by the studios to just be quiet.
Well, and that's the thing. They should. They need to stop running their mouths on everything and just do the roles and then come out and promote them when it comes time. I don't need them, spouting all their politics and everything.
Yeah.
But the same thing is like, if you make it where I don't want to see you, I'm not going to go see you.
Right.
And live action, no, Disney movies, I really don't care for them anyways. Doesn't matter who's playing the roles, who's doing any parts of it. Because a lot of them I just don't like. I think there's all this stuff popping up on Facebook lately about like an Aladdin 2 and a Frozen 3. Now, Frozen 3 I heard had been set up, but I've never heard of Aladdin 2. Well, Aladdin, the live action sucked because Will Smith was not any good. And it wasn't color of his skin or anything else. He can't sing. He can rap. That's one thing. And by singing, he didn't do well. He sounded very flat. And it really didn't feel like he even put as much into the role. Right. Personally, they should have found a better comedian, regardless of color, that could actually pull it off. And that's what Robin Williams was a great comedian. And it's going to be tough to actually fill his shoes, but you can find great comedians out there that can do the, ad-libbing and things like that Robin Williams did.
Right.
So, but yeah, I never planned to see Snow White anyways. And they're only calling it Snow White. They're not even calling it Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. So,
yeah. And then the big joke is, the evil queen that is jealous of Snow White's beauty is Gal Gadot. Really? She's the one that's jealous of. I don't think so.
Well, if you look at the original animated, the way they drew the queen, she was supposed to be a gorgeous woman. She was just older. Right. And by being older, it was always more of an age thing than just young.
Right.
So, and of course, it also goes to the play of people look at younger as more attractive versus older. So it was always more of an age thing than just a look thing.
Right. I just don't think people look at Gal Gadot and think, oh, she's an aging woman.
No, she's not.
I mean, if you're going to go that route, go with like a Meryl Streep.
Yeah, I think it's going too far. I think going with someone like a Gal Gadot who is almost 40, she's in her 30s, versus someone who's like 20, 22 or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's more about an age thing than it is actual beauty. And going too old, it's like, okay, this person's 70 years old trying to capture. Well, that's a Tangled thing with Rapunzel, where she was trying to capture her youth by draining, someone young. So this is more of a perspective thing. Like, as someone's getting older, they always look at themselves as old and not as beautiful versus someone that's younger. And it really is a perspective thing. And that's where I think having Gal Gadot is good, because Gal Gadot, while being everybody else may look and say, well, that's a good looking woman, the person doesn't see themselves that way.
Right.
So
good point.
I don't plan on seeing it, so it doesn't matter if they even finish it.
Yeah, I wasn't planning on seeing it either. Just everything Disney has redone has been crap in my mind as far as their classics.
They keep changing them, and they keep, it's they have to get rid of things. It's like the one thing with the Little Mermaid, I haven't seen it. And I saw it's coming on Disney Plus, and I don't know if I'll watch it or not. I probably won't. But it wasn't who they cast as the Little Mermaid what made me upset. It was the fact they wanted to change some lines in one of the songs, and the Kiss the Girl song, and make it like she's giving consent. Well, she always gave consent.
I know that,
and that was ridiculous. That they're trying to pretend like he was actually some malicious guy that was trying to take advantage of her.
Which goes into the Snow White too. They're like, oh, the prince was a stalker, and they're acting like him. She's dying, and she needs true love's kiss to save her, and it's like, well, he didn't give consent. Oh, so if a woman is dying and needs CPR, am I not supposed to give CPR because I'm not getting consent because she's passed out? I mean, it's just they're taking it to such an extreme. It's stupid.
Yeah, well, that was the whole thing. Even with with Cinderella, Snow White, Sleeping Beauty, all that stuff was about this consent, and it was like they gave consent. These girls wanted this attention from this person. That's where it came from.
And if you're dying and you need mouth to mouth, you don't wait for consent.
Right.
It's just so stupid.
Now another thing I did watch this past week, last week was they dropped The Flash on HBO Max.
I heard the viewer numbers were super low on that.
Yeah, I could see that. It sucked. Ezra Miller aside, I never really cared. I didn't want to pay to see it. I didn't plan on paying to see it. It popped up on HBO Max or Max, whatever you want to call it. So I decided to watch it at home since I get Max for free. So I spent $0 to see this. The story I thought was just ridiculous. It's a typical time travel story we've seen a million times on the Flash TV show alone, but in
Right.
other stuff. Him playing the Flash, the Barry Allen Flash, everybody knows. I never really cared for him anyways in that. It had nothing to do with his country. I just didn't like him. He never really did anything that made it seem like he really going to care about this character. The version of his character that he creates as an alternate universe, I liked it a little bit better because they put more humor in that. But at the same time, it was still not great. You see none of the Flash's rogue gallery. They had this convoluted story. The only thing good about it was Michael Keaton as Batman, but you do get to see all the different Superman, and you see 3 different Batmans in this thing. But as just like DC does with all the live action, the story was just horrible. And I mean, that's why the movie didn't make any money at the theater and then doing well on streaming because everybody's like, this is ridiculous. Plus, it doesn't matter to anything ongoing. So it's just like, well, we did it. Here it is. And if they really wanted to make it going, they could have done something. First, what they should have done was when he goes and creates this flashpoint, which is what he did, it should have been a completely different person playing the Flash, and then they could have completely got rid of Ezra Miller.
Yeah, that would have been the ideal situation.
Yep.
I do the only thing about the movie I wanted to see, which I didn't see it, but is the Michael Keaton return. That's what I wanted to see. How was Affleck's Batman?
They really didn't treat that one right. I thought the entire first 20 minutes was stupid. Affleck himself was fine, but the special effects are crappy. How they went about him being part of the story was really stupid. I just didn't feel like it fit anything. And it felt like a throw in, like, well, we got to have Affleck as Batman just to fulfill our contracts and see him as Batman, and that's it.
I just feel like Warner Brothers has so screwed up the DC movies over the years that I'm not even excited for the James Gunn version. Part of me, I wish they would just put DC on hold for 5 to 10 years.
Yeah.
To let it kind of refresh instead of they're jumping right into another reboot. How many reboots have we had over, it's just Warner Brothers. The problem is Warner Brothers, in my opinion. They keep screwing it up. They keep intermingling. The only movie they did right was Wonder Woman. And as we've covered, that it's because they were so focused on Justice League. Patty Jenkins was allowed to make the movie she wanted. And you can see the part where Warner Brothers stepped in. It's the last 20 minutes, and that's the part of the movie that sucked.
Yep.
To get it to tie into Justice League. The rest of Wonder Woman was great. And then Wonder Woman made money, so now Warner Brothers cared about the second one. The second one sucked.
Yeah, they came in and tried to fix everything.
Yeah, and they ruined it. It was horrible.
Yeah.
And it's a shame because the individual actors like Henry Cavill was so perfect as a Superman.
Yeah.
But they wrote it just horribly every time. Because everything with Warner Brothers, and we've covered this, you can go back to our podcast 5 years ago.
Yep.
Back when they announced the Superman versus Batman, first it was going to be Man of Steel 2, then it was Superman versus Batman. They were just throwing spaghetti at a wall to see what stuck. You could tell. And
they spent 3 years telling us everybody that's going to be in it.
Yep.
And at that point, it's like, I didn't care.
Right.
Who wants to see this stuff? It was stupid. They should have done, you introduce a Batman movie. If you want a new Batman, they could have done Batfleck would have been fine by himself. They did the Wonder Woman by himself. Then you do a joint movie between the three.
Yep.
But they went ahead and they killed Superman. They did a Death of Superman story tying in with this Dawn of Justice. You got Batman hating Superman for destroying everything, but then we watch The Flash and Batman's destroying everything.
Right.
So it made no sense for the character they tried to create with Affleck.
Well, and the person who was head of creative at the time for DC, I remember, they touted this woman who they put in charge, and her whole background is she had a marketing degree. She had no experience in comics. She admitted she had never even attended a Comic-Con in her life. So she had no idea on the product she was promoting, and she had no idea on the audience she was selling it to.
Yeah.
I mean, those are the two key things in marketing. You know, bragging about your degree, you should know, need to know your product, and you need to know your audience.
I've run into people like that over the years. Ran into somebody at Chicago Wizard years ago, and had a few other people are something. Oh, this person knows what they're talking about. I said, no, they don't. So they're trying to tell us people who are independent comic people how we need to promote our books, and what they're telling us to do is not to talk to anybody at Comic Cons, just to sit there. And then she talked about commercials. I'm like, no, she's talking from a commercial aspect on a show on TV. She doesn't know what she's talking about. And the same thing with this person that they were promoting all these movies recently. They don't know their product. And it shows that and how they completely screw up the marketing and everything, and nobody cares. And I don't care if it made $1 billion for Justice League. It's, you know, that was, everybody loves it. Could never tell me they like this story. It's all about, I like this scene, that scene. I remember seeing that cover, and this cover, and things like that.
And even Marvel, Marvel was desperate in phase one, and they had to succeed. So they hired Favreau, who was a fan of the product, so he understood the fans, he understood the stories and the characters, and he created something really good. And that momentum carried through for 3 phases.
Yeah.
But after they hit that pinnacle, it's became more studio driven after that, and you can see it falling apart. You know, hopefully they can find their footing and move forward in a proper way again, but they keep hiring. Before, it was all about the vision, and they would bring on directors who were sold on the vision, and if you weren't, you were let go. Now they're bringing in directors who want to make their own vision, and it's ruining it.
Yeah. And that's the whole thing. We saw this with Rian Johnson with Star Wars. We're seeing this with Taika Waititi with the last Thor. The problem is we don't need those just coming in and making their fan films. We need them people coming in, and we need someone overseeing it and continuing a cohesive story. But I agree with the DC should go away for 5 years and rethink everything. But they're going to just keep punching them out. Marvel is already stepping back a little bit. They're not fully saying that, but there's nothing on the books, not just because of the strike. They realize they screwed up on a lot of this stuff. So
Marvel is a great example too. After phase 3 just took a couple-year break, and wrote a solid another 2 to 3 phase arc. Look what they did over the last 2 years. They destroyed the power of their brand.
Yeah,
you know, because they kept pushing stuff out instead of let's take a pause and then we revisit. And
because even when, like Star Trek, when things were going well, they just took a pause. They stopped doing TV shows.
Star Wars.
They held on to movies.
Star Wars survived 40 years off of 3 movies. 3 movies for 40 years. That's all we had.
40 years. It was actually like 22 years.
Yeah, but that, you know, my point. But even then we only had 3 more movies.
Yeah.
And then, you know, it's now they're pushing so much content out. They're hurting themselves because they're starting to push out stuff that is subpar. Now with Ahsoka, once we get on that, I won't get too deep. I'm enjoying Ahsoka. We'll see where that goes, but
well, we can get ready to switch over to that.
Okay.
One thing with that I was going to point out was you mentioned about, you know, the streaming losing money, stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
So now we're going to see Disney Plus, or Disney's doing this now. They are releasing several of their Marvel and now Star Wars series on Blu-ray, and like this here, Mandalorian. It's an official release, not the bootlegs you see all over Amazon.
Right.
And they're going to be releasing both the first and second season, just not the third season right away. Here's my unsubstantiated speculation on this: is we're seeing these released, and it won't be too long around that time that they will pull them from Disney Plus.
Well, they trained everyone, and people like myself, I looked forward to owning the Blu-ray version.
Yes.
Or the DVD, whatever was out at the time. But I would buy them so I would have them. They have trained us over the last 10 years to stop buying them. It's like, oh no, you'll have your catalog available whenever you want. You don't need to do that. That's a huge revenue stream for them.
Yep.
That is disappearing. And now they're trying to bring it back. But will the average fan want to go back to owning all of these things again? I don't know.
Well, as I've said every year for the last several years on our show is I still buy physical media, so I don't have to rely on the streaming if I want to watch something.
Yeah.
And that's, I
And,
think, the key is you need to have that physical media. And then at this point, you actually own it.
yeah.
And I get, like you see here, I got like the Blu-ray, I got the digital code. But if they take away my digital code, I still have a Blu-ray.
You still have the Blu-ray. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
So
that's the way to go.
I think it's where the streaming is supposed to. It's like even Netflix. They released the first 2 seasons of Stranger Things on DVD Blu-ray. We haven't seen the 3rd or 4th season. So it's like, well, we see those. I don't know. They act like the physical media is dead, and realistically, I don't think it is.
It'll come back as these streaming services start. They're going to have to start changing how they do things, because they are losing millions and millions of dollars the way that this business model isn't working for what they do. My understanding is the only streaming service actually making money is Netflix. Yeah. But that's because they were originally created as a streaming service, whereas Disney is a movie studio. They're network TV, and they're trying to become streaming, but they made so much money off of regular cable subscriptions by moving to streaming. They lost that income.
Yes.
And so they've shot themselves in the foot in a lot of ways. So we'll see what happens.
I think that they're going to start recognizing they have to go back to a previous model. It's modified. Instead of being releasing it in the theaters, you wait for it to come out on home video or whatever. They're going to release it streaming and home and theaters, and then eventually have to come out with it on home video, because people will pay the money to have that. But then if it's available streaming, they won't grab their disc. They'll just stream it, so they'll still get that version of the revenue.
Right.
So it's just like the music industry. The music industry has been complaining for years to streaming and bootleg and stuff like that. So what have all these acts done? They've gone back to records.
Yep.
And that has created a thing. I mean, Metallica is a big one on that. That was completely against Napster. They fought hard. They basically, a lot of their cases have been proved like, we're going to lose money. We're losing money. And as everything went to legitimate streaming, everything they said has happened just on the legitimate side. So what they've done, they've now bought a place where they can press their own records.
Yep.
And because they couldn't keep up with the demand, because people are like, we want the quality. People want good quality stuff. They want to be able to have it on hand.
Same with
the LPs have become this new. It started with the hipsters per se, but a lot of people jumped on board because they love music and things like that. I think with movies, same thing. People love movies. They want to have a physical copy of it so they can watch it when they want.
Yeah, same with White Stripes. Jack White. He
got
owns a record pressing business too.
What I like what he does too is he has concerts like down in Nashville, and they will record that show, and they will put out based on how many tickets they had. So if they sold like 1,500 tickets, they press 1,500 albums, and those people that had tickets have first right to buy it. And if they don't, then it goes in his shop for sale.
I saw a thing on TV about that. He bought this old recording truck and refurbished it, fixed it up, and so it's like this mobile record thing. And he's able to do that. They go to the live shows, and he's able to make it right on the spot.
Yeah, he can make the master, and then they will print them, get them produced right away. He's got a whole warehouse down there that he makes all these records now.
Yeah,
and that's why everything he comes out with on like Record Store Day or anything else, his stuff now is all done on his own. They've all started taking all that back to themselves and getting away from the actual music companies. So I mean, people having a music contract anymore is almost coming non-existent. And I think we're going to see that in some ways within filmmaking. The studios are still pretty heavy, but when people really get back into it, you look at like Robert Rodriguez, he's always done his own thing. And he makes the studio pay him to distribute his movie.
Yeah.
So we got Ahsoka.
We got Ahsoka. Here we go.
Here's what Kevin, real quick.
Yeah.
He bought one from his store. Amazing sound quality for a live recording.
Yeah.
And part of it is you got someone that truly knows what they're doing. They work with people that know even more than he does. And he wants the best quality.
Yeah.
So
very cool. All right. We got Ahsoka going. Episode 4. I guess these come out on Tuesday evenings now.
Yeah. So I watched it last night.
I watched the 4th episode this morning, so we won't talk spoilers on that one. But here's what I'll say. I had a theory about where the season was going to go, and in this episode, I was thinking, I guess they're not going to do that. And then the end of the episode, I'm like, oh, they are doing that. So I'll just leave it
Well,
at that.
they're doing, I think, a version of what we talked about before.
Yeah.
And this ties into like the Veil of the Force.
Yeah.
Uh,
So we'll
but
see where it
the
goes.
first 2 to 3 episodes has been about finding this map that
Yes.
leads them to where Ahsoka and Sabine are looking for Ezra, and the bad guys are all looking for Thrawn.
So I'm hoping we get Zeb into this mix. They haven't brought him yet, and with the one X-wing fighter pilot that we see in the episode who returned, he was in that cantina with Zeb. So I was hoping that was going to mean Zeb was with him, but we didn't see that. But
Well, and that's the same guy we've
hopefully
seen in Mandalorian too,
right.
in
So-
Book of Boba.
Yeah, so hopefully we get Zeb in this. Got to bring him on board. I mean, come on.
Well, I'm hoping that Ahsoka itself really isn't truly a one season done. That it's just the first of a few seasons, and that by the end of this, they're basically bringing the Rebel crew back together for as much as they can. I know Scott and I talked, and he was thinking Kanan may make an appearance, but I don't think that's going to happen now.
No, I don't think so. I think that theory was turned to smoke.
Yes,
Literally.
but I've been really enjoying this a lot. I like how they started us off, got us right into the series. They've been introducing elements from Rebels, so those that have not seen Rebels can get a basic idea. And we have, instead of Sith, we have some new bad guys that are not Sith and not Jedi, but the main guy is a former Jedi.
Yeah, so I don't know if they are technically Dark Jedi, Fallen Jedi. The title of the episode today was Fallen Jedi, I think, wasn't it?
Right.
Or Fallen, something like that. So I don't know what title they're going to go by, but Filoni did point out it was very intentional to make them orange lightsabers versus red lightsabers. So it was very intentional.
Yes,
I'm loving the casting, though. The casting has been great. I really like, and I'm blanking on her name, the Dark Jedi Padawan for Lord Balin. What's her name? Not Satine. Satine? No, I forget. But anyways, I'm really liking her. Shin, that's it.
Yeah.
I'm really liking her as a character, and I hope she doesn't get killed off, and I hope we have her. She'd be a great bad guy for down the road.
Yes.
So to have her grow in power.
Yeah, and unfortunately, we know that Ray Stevenson's he passed away a few months back, so he's not going to be back for a second season.
Right.
So we don't know, but we don't know about his character either.
Yeah, I don't know if his character was meant to go on or not. We'll find out. But as a character, he pulls off the Count Dooku vibe very well. You know, obviously he's not Count Dooku; he's a different character altogether. But I feel like he has that vibe of very powerful. He's got a lot of patience. He still seems to have a reverence for the old Jedi ways, but obviously he's lost his faith, as he says. You know, he knew Anakin. We know that. And he knows what's become of Anakin too. We know that. So
yeah, he survived the purge.
Yeah.
But it sounds like his character had left the Order prior to that.
Yeah. So, but the casting wise, Rosario Dawson is amazing as Ahsoka.
Yeah.
Hera's great. They're all great. For me, the most annoying character has been Sabine, but I think that's just in general. I each episode I like her better. So I was talking to Brett. So my theory with Sabine is she's not force sensitive. She can't control the force. So my theory is they're going to go explore the force through the way of like characters like Shru Imwe from Rogue One, where he wasn't a Jedi. He didn't have the ability to manipulate the force and use the force, but obviously he was able to, through his faith in the force allow it to operate through him and be a vessel for it. So I have a feeling this is what they're going to explore, is that using the force the way Shru used it in Rogue One.
I think so, yeah. And we
'Cause
see that a little more as
I don't
each episode's gone on.
I don't want them to suddenly make her powerful in the Force. I mean, whether you like midi-chlorians or not, it's established canon in the Star Wars universe. So I don't want them to just ignore that. You know, someone like Anakin was very powerful because he was born of the Force and had so much midi-chlorians. Luke also very powerful because he was Anakin's son. So I don't want them to override that and just pretend like that doesn't exist.
Right. Well, and the one thing they've kind of introduced in this also between the first 3 episodes was Hera and Kanan's son.
Mm-hmm. Jason, I think, is his name.
Jason, yep. Which I find it interesting they went to Jason because it wasn't that one of the twins' names in the original
Jason
novels back in the
Solo.
90s?
Yeah. Jaina and Jason Solo.
Yep.
So
I assume that's kind of a nod from Filoni.
That's my guess.
Yeah.
Filoni likes to work in stuff in different ways. Now, the other thing he's working in is he's mentioned a few times Heir to the Empire, which was a major trilogy that brought Thrawn into back in 1991, I think it came out.
Yep.
That created the expanded universe and revived Star Wars. Star Wars was dying in the late 80s. It was like non-existent. And the books that came out, Heir to the Empire, really revived it through novel format. And the fans had it told the tales of all these books, told the tales of what happened after Return of the Jedi. And they're great books. And Filoni is trying to bring those back. So,
yeah, I've got them on my Kindle. I need to go actually read those. It's been 30 years since I read them.
Yeah,
the Heir Empire series was a great series. It really captured the heart of what Star Wars was with the first 3 movies.
And in it, you have a clone of the Emperor. You know, this wasn't just made up for the sequels, this whole idea of Emperor having clones. This goes all the way back to Era of the Empires. He created a clone of himself for his spirit, his soul to go into and kind of further himself through these clones. Joris Siboth, I think I'm saying it right, was one of his clones, but he kind of went crazy and became this powerful, evil version of the Emperor. Will they bring the clones into it? We also know through the sequels, Rey's father in real life is one of the clones of the Emperor. So there are ways where they could tie things in different ways to these. Plus, we know the Emperor made many clones, and the Force that he used would burn up those clones. Yep. But then we also have through the Mandalorian series and things like that, and even the Obi-Wan series, they keep showing us glimpses of the clone program that the Emperor was doing.
Yep.
So,
and with the Heir to the Empire book, which is the first in the series, you also have Dark Force Rising. You have The Last Command. So there's a lot of Thrawn and everything else there. So that's what I'm hoping with Ahsoka, whether it's through Ahsoka or other series, Filoni's building up this Heir to the Empire style series that could cross multiple shows.
And isn't that where we got Mara Jade was in this series, I believe?
Let me look that up.
Let's see.
Because she was the hand, Vader's hand, wasn't it?
But what was she introduced to the Heir of the Empire?
Let's see here.
Let's see. Where did she make her first appearance? Heir to the Empire. Yep.
Okay.
So that was her first appearance. So hopefully we get Mara Jade into this, which for those of you who know the expanded universe, the now Legends, that becomes Luke's wife. And so it'd be nice if they brought that character. It's a very beloved character for Star Wars fans. And someone like Filoni wants to, he has such a love for the expanded universe. He's always trying to find ways to make these people canon. So I think he's going to do it.
If anybody can, it's him.
Yeah, for sure.
So I hope so. We'll see. But I would say if you've never read the Heir to the Empire series, go read it. There's going to be a lot of things I think we're going to start seeing, not just in Ahsoka, but as well as some future stuff that Filoni may want to do, because he's not saying what he wants to do next. But once I think I get everything settled with this writer, directors, strikes, all that stuff, we should see some more stuff tying in. Because, I mean, they've talked about, maybe some more Mandalorian, but I can see some more Ahsoka. we definitely have another season of Andor, which is pre New Hope. But this is I think, a great guideline to go with for post Jedi, pre the sequel series.
Yeah. My theory is I think we're done with The Mandalorian. If they do anything, I think it'll be a new series, a new name for the series following Katie Sackhoff's
Yeah.
Bo-Katan.
Or I
I
could
think
see something completely different entirely where she still just gets weaved in and out. We don't have to spend a whole time with them.
But I
I
have a
think it'd be a smarter
feeling
thing to
Din
do.
Djarin's story is over.
Yeah, I think so. I think he may pop in here and there.
They'll have to do a little bit of crossover because I don't think Grogu's story is over. So they got to bring Grogu back in somehow. So they may have it where because he doesn't have to actually film scenes. Pedro Pascal, he just has to do a voice work. So they could have a scene where they pick up Grogu, and then carry him on to the new Jedi temple or whatever. But they do have to answer the Grogu question of, why do we not see him later on down the road? So,
well, the other thing is, they always said they were going to hopefully get to the point, tell us where they come from. Him and Yoda and Yaddle. Where does the race a little more? How it ties into more.
Right.
And maybe they'll tie in if they continue on with this, Return of Thrawn. Which, like I said, I really think because we're already 4 episodes into the 8 episodes for Ahsoka, we haven't seen Thrawn yet. This has got to be just the first of a few seasons, and maybe it'll switch from being the Ahsoka series to being, like I said, an Heir to Empire series / Thrawn series.
Didn't they say they were planning on a movie that would tie all of these together?
There's been that rumor.
Yeah, I don't know if it was confirmed or what, but supposedly there's going to be a movie that ties all of these different things together into an Avengers style movie where they all come together.
Yeah, and that was talked about that for after they finished Andor season 2. The Acolyte was supposed to be part of that. We know that goes back, but it was all tied into some of that stuff going forward. So I don't know. I think a lot of it's been so messed up because they were supposed to do a Lando series now, but if they're going to continue on past Jedi, which is where they really should be going, they need to do more, just either more series or just start creating these movies.
Yeah. They also just recently released, let's see if I can find the image. They just released the updated timeline. Well, this is just printed out, but I'll put this up. The new timeline for Star Wars. So a lot of us know the old expanded universe timeline. Let's pull up this. So this is the timeline they just released last week. So we have the Dawn of the Jedi. So BBY is before Battle of Yavin. So that's episode 4, A New Hope, the original 1977 Star Wars movie. Dawn of the Jedi is 25,000 years before then. The Old Republic goes from 25,000 years to 1,000 years before the Battle of Yavin. Then we have the High Republic. That's the series Kathleen Kennedy is trying desperately to push that no one seems to care about. 500 years before to 100 years before. Then we have the Fall of the Jedi, which is 100 years before to 19 years before. So that gets you up until episode 3, where Anakin and, Order 66 and all that. Then we have the Reign of the Empire, which is from the end of episode 3 to 5 years before the Battle of Yavin. And then the Age of Rebellion, which takes us pretty much through the movies from Rogue One through Return of the Jedi.
Yeah.
Then you have the New Republic, which is after Return of the Jedi to 34 years after Rise of the First Order. Now we start getting into the sequel series. And then we have a New Jedi Order, which is 50 years after. So we don't know anything about that time period at this time.
Right. I mean, there's been some stuff done in the Legends comics and books, but with the introduction of the new movies with, Rey, that changes everything what they will do in terms of what's canon.
And if my theory comes correct, I hope that whole thing can change. I'm still holding on to my theory.
I don't think it's going to.
You don't think so? I don't know.
I have hope.
I think
I
we'll
believe
still have Rey.
Filoni's introducing stuff now that we will see that they can just bypass those movies, get into that new Jedi Order, and build from around that. And it doesn't have to be Rey centric per se, but it will allow other stuff that they can deal with and just completely ignore the First Order stuff.
They could. I think they're going to fix it. I think they're going to fix it. That's my.
I don't think so.
I think
really
Filoni and Mark Hamill, I think, wants to give Luke the proper ending.
That would be, I think, the best thing they could do, and they could go in and extract that part out. But I still think it's going to still deal around that First Order, and with their timeline there on the Star Wars timeline, it's only like a year is the First Order.
Yeah, so that'll be easy to erase. No one will notice.
Yeah. But we're still going to see, I think, Rey and everything else around that. So it'll just be a different aspect around it, but still hopefully giving Luke a better send-off.
Now, one of the movies coming out supposedly will deal with the Dawn of the Jedi, where we see the first Jedi when they first figure out the Force and access the Force. So hopefully that's well done and not.
Well, that's one thing they introduced with the sequel series was the actual physical books the Jedi.
Right.
So
I just hope they don't use the same people who are designing the High Republic, because they're trying to go woke with all that crap, and nobody wants it.
No,
nobody cares.
No good stories.
The Acolyte takes place in that time frame, so we'll see how that goes. Hopefully it's not. Everything Kathleen Kennedy touches is crap. Everything Favreau and Filoni do has been great. So,
well, yeah, and they can tie in great characters. As you and I talked, everybody says it fits the Disney model of wanting more female centric, and even Kathleen Kennedy calling it. Well, look at Ahsoka, great characters. It doesn't have to belittle the male characters. We still have some great male characters in there, but they're all pulling from existing characters Filoni created, which was Hera, Sabine, Ahsoka, tying those three main female characters in with even the bad guys. They have a main male bad guy who's actually, not being treated as stupid, but given respect to. But then even his Padawan, or whatever they call it, his trainee, being female, is also given respect.
Yeah. I was paying attention in this episode. She didn't blink once. So Shin never blinks, which it's a subtle thing, but when a character never blinks, even if you don't notice it, it adds to something about that character's personality, because subconsciously you notice they're not blinking, even if you don't notice it consciously.
Kind of makes them a little more sinister.
Yeah. So there was another character in a series recently where it was purposeful. They made sure they never blinked on camera, and I'm blanking on who it was, but it just added to the character. But
Silence of the Lambs, Hannibal Lecter never blinked.
Okay.
And he said he picked that up from watching tapes of Charles Manson.
Oh, interesting. So if you're purely evil, your eyes don't need to rehydrate. No need to blink.
Yeah. So,
cool. Well, I'm definitely looking forward to the rest of this Ahsoka series. With the way today ended, you could see Thrawn next episode. It's very possible.
Yeah, Thrawn. I would think Thrawn's gonna have to appear in the next episode. But we're starting to get something else. When you watch episode 4, it'll make more sense how it ends. Yeah, we're starting to get the other nuances of this series. And
I am a little mad though with how it ends. I now have to wait a week.
That does suck.
I'm like, no, you can't end there.
I keep going, man, why can't these hackers go and get the rest of the episodes, just throw them out there?
Right? Why do I have to wait?
Yeah, but at the same time, I enjoy the waiting.
I do too.
I enjoy the fact
time to digest what happened.
Yeah, we don't have Joe Schmo Facebook guy ruining the ending because he binged it the entire morning as soon as it hit.
Yeah.
Like a lot of shows. But I also like the fact that they're doing it Tuesdays at 9, and that's gonna be their new thing, it sounds like. And I think part of it is so many people would watch it at 3 a.m.
right
on Eastern time and have it and midnight Pacific and have it spoiled before everybody else had a chance to watch it.
But even official sites, so like I like to watch it first thing in the morning on Wednesday still.
Yeah.
And last night I was already seeing articles pop up about, oh, the return of this character. I'm like, really? Even official sites are now starting to spoil stuff 2 hours after it came out.
2 hours. Some of it's dropping an hour. It's hidden. It's like
Right.
9 a hit, 9:01. They're posting it.
Yeah, it's just they shouldn't be doing reviews like that.
No.
So
but
then I'm like, oh, now I gotta be careful what I watch.
yeah, I'm back to not
here.
getting on Facebook till after I watch it.
Yeah. But
So.
oh well.
Well, hey, we covered a lot today.
Yeah.
So it's already quarter after 11.
320 is behind us.
Yeah. So join us next week. We'll probably catch a little bit more of the Ahsoka series. I hadn't talked to Scott about this, so I'll just make an announcement. 2 weeks from now, I will not be on the show for sure. We'll make an announcement if Scott's going to do the show or not. I'll be traveling to Salt Lake City.
Oh, all right.
So I won't be available for the show. Is
this your first time doing Salt Lake?
Yes.
I love the city. It's a great city. Fun to explore.
Yeah.
I got out to the lake out there. It's really awesome. So much to see. If you like hiking, there's some great trails out there.
Mm-hmm.
It's a really cool town. I really enjoyed it down there. Sunday, nothing is open.
Yeah.
Including the Comic-Con, right?
Comic-Con's done Saturday.
Yep.
Yeah, we're sharing an Airbnb house with Benny and Lisa. I think Sunday we're gonna have planned ahead and we're gonna do a little cooking at the house.
Mm-hmm.
But we may go and do a little exploring, but it's mostly gonna be just a relaxing because we all fly out on Monday.
Yep. Everything's closed on Sunday.
It's long hours, so definitely it's one of the shows that we're gonna be wiped out afterwards, and probably a day of rest will be nice.
Yeah.
So.
A fun show. I'll be curious to hear how it goes. So
yeah. Well, it's the first time Bardstone's been out there, so the first time they'll see the comics. Kind of hoping that some of what we've seen when we go to San Diego, Colorado Springs, is there also in terms of people more acclimated and wanting to have a Comic-Con as well as interested in the new books.
Oh. Eric Hodson usually does Salt Lake, so he knows a lot of great places to eat out there too. So if you need to find out restaurants to go to.
Yeah, and Vinny's and Lisa have been doing this for a few years, so they've got some places.
Oh, that's true.
Well.
Yep.
So
awesome.
I think we should be pretty good. And I've been Googling a few places also. I found a few places I wouldn't mind. That are actually open on Sunday too.
Yep.
So there are some restaurants open on Sunday. So
very good.
Hey, we'll see y'all next week.
Bye.